Welcome to my channel where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election, which was held on February 25, 2023, and the result controversially announced on March 1st, 2023. And that controversial result was challenged at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, which gave its verdict on September 6th, validating the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as President of Nigeria. But that verdict was not satisfactory to the petitioners, and they have headed to the Supreme Court, which, as I had earlier said several times in this channel, that at the end of the day, it is the Supreme Court that will determine who won the 2023 presidential election. Now, today is September 28th, Thursday, September 28th, 2023, and is the day, the much awaited day, that Nigerians want to hear what the court in America will say about the issue of releasing the academic records of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to one of his challengers, Atiku Abubakar, who wanted those documents to prove that Bola Ahmed Tinubu allegedly submitted a forged certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission as part of the filings he made to the electoral body ahead of the 2023 presidential election. Already we know that Judge Gilbert, Magistrate Court Judge Gilbert, had initially given an order that all the academic records of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should be released to Atiku Abubakar in pursuant of the matter he was pursuing at the Supreme Court. However, a few hours to the expiration of the 48 hours that Judge Gilbert gave for the University of Chicago, Chicago State University, to release those documents to Atiku Abubakar, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appealed against this decision, saying that the order should be halted, and Tinubu went to a higher judge, Judge Nancy Maldonado, who now gave a halt to that process because Tinubu pleaded that releasing all his documents to Atiku Abubakar will cause him severe and irreparable damage, which will affect his life. So, being concerned about the life of the President of Nigeria, Judge Nancy Maldonado have to halt the process and then give the judges, the lawyers of the two parties, to review some of the issues before she will now give a final verdict on Thursday. Now that Thursday is supposed to be today, but because of time differences between United States and Nigeria, it's likely that we are going to get the full details of what happened on Thursday night or in the early hours of Friday. So that being the case, Nigerians are waiting with bated breath for what will come out. Because what actually arose the interest of Nigerians, most Nigerians actually, was the president's plea that releasing his vital documents to Atiku Abubakar, his academic records, will cause severe and irreparable damage to his life. And so that has heightened the interest that Nigerians are paying to what will come out of Chicago. on Thursday, and and nobody actually can tell what Maldonado will rule, Judge Nancy Maldonado will rule, whether he will sustain the order that had already been given by Judge Gilbert of the Magistrate Court, or she's going to call for a further review of the matter. But the danger in that is that it will continue to delay the process and might hurt Atiku Abubakar's capacity or time to be able to present this this evidence, the evidence that will emanate from there, to the Supreme Court in Nigeria, to facilitate his effort to prove that what the certificate, Chicago State University certificate, that Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission were allegedly forged. And if he can prove that it was forged, that would be the end of the road for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidency. Now, while Nigerians are waiting with expectation to see what is contained in these academic records of Bola Tinubu that could cause him severe and irreparable damage if made available to Atiku Abubakar and the public. Tinubu himself also heightened the matter even further when he also made a plea with Judge Nancy that and said that he's ready to accept only his diploma to be given to Atiku Abubakar, but other documents that concern the gender of the owner of the certificate, the admission letters, admission materials, and other academic records should not be made available to Atiku Abubakar. Now, that is also part of the reason why people are waiting with expectations to see what these documents contain. However, let me also say that there may not be anything new that will emanate from the courts. Even if Nancy Maldonado said that the first order by Judge Gilbert should be sustained, that they should give all the materials, there's likely not to be any different from the material that will be released. The material that will be released will be anything different from what we already know, from what was given to independent investigator, Barrister Mike Enahoro Eba. Remember, Barrister Mike Enahoro Eba was the man who subpoenaed Chicago State University through a court order in the United States, and they gave him the certificate that was awarded to Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 1979. It was that certificate that Atiku presented to the Presidential Election Petition Court to show proof that the certificate that Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission was allegedly fake, because Enahoro Eba was given the authentic certificate from Chicago State University through that subpoena. So the certificate that Atiku is going to receive, which was the certificate that was awarded to Tinubu and people of his state, of the class of 1979, will not be anything different. What they will give to Atiku, if Nancy Maldonado gave the order today, that certificate will not be any different from what was given to Barrister Mike Enahoro Eba. Okay, so that is one thing we have to get clear. Beside every other thing, it's not likely to be anything radically different from Mike Enahoro Eba obtained certificate through a subpoena of the same Chicago State University. Now, it therefore means that what is happening now is just the kind of thing we see in the Nigerian legal system. What it means is that the document that was presented by Atiku, that Atiku presented from, that emanated from a Nahore Eba, the court in Nigeria disregarded it. They want Atiku to go and get it by himself. They want Atiku to be the one to go and get it. That is why all these rigmarole are happening. It's not as if the court themselves did not see that that certificate that was presented from a Nahore Eba emanated from the Chicago State University. But they don't want to, they consider it inadmissible until Atiku Abubakar go by himself to get the material, to get the documents by himself. And that is what Atiku Abubakar has now done. But you can see how this kind of attitude in Nigerian legal system can cause an applicant so much. Because ordinarily, when you have a document that was obtained by subpoena, the court itself ought to have known that this thing was obtained legally. But they insisted that Atiku Abubakar should go and get it as a proof or part of proof of his case. That is why we are where we are, and that is why the legal system in Nigeria has continued to be something of concern to most Nigerians. That is why if you are a poor person, you are not likely to get justice. You can imagine if Atiku Abubakar is not a man of means, how does he have to go to America to obtain a document or documents to prove his case when that document is already available from the same source and handed over to another person? Okay? But that's how people suffer in Nigeria who don't have resources to pursue matters. And people keep on saying that the court is the last hope of the common man. I think the court cannot be said to be so, because it seems that the court is always there for the rich. Because, as I said, if Atiku is not a man of means, how could he have gone to Chicago and spent so much money for to ensure that he gets all these documents he's looking for which Tinubu is doing everything possible to stop him from getting it. Okay, now what is at stake? Because people have been asking, what is really at stake in this matter is the certificate that Bola Ahmed Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission. And to me, that is what is going to be the major issue that will determine the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That certificate is submitted. Is it genuine or is it not genuine? That is the bone of contention. There are other things that Atiku may get from the academic records, especially the issue of the gender of the person that was admitted and all that, which Tinubu himself don't want him to get. Okay? But the major game changer will be Atiku getting that certificate and then proving that that certificate is original and different from what was presented by Tinubu as his certificate to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, we have to look at what strengthens Atiku Abubakar's mind to bring out the money to pursue this matter. Atiku Abubakar trusted the private investigator, Barrister Mike Nahore Eba, because it was the certificate that emanated from Mike Nahoreba that he himself presented to the Presidential Election Petition Court, which is also going to present to the Supreme Court. Now, that certificate emanated from Chicago State University. So we are going to look at that certificate that emanated from Chicago State University and the certificate that Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission, and find out if there are differences, and if those differences are enough to justify Atiku Abubakar's claim that what Tinubu submitted was fake. Now, according to independent investigator, I'm talking about none other than David Hundiyin, who has really done a lot of study on this certificate saga. He found out that these certificates, the certificates that was given to Inahoro Eba, is radically different from what Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Okay? So everybody is already open in the media. Everybody is aware of it. Even Tinubu himself is aware of it, because he has admitted, even in the court in the United States and elsewhere, that the mistakes there was not his fault, that it was the fault of an unnamed clerk. But it is important for us to look at those key differences between these two certificates, which is what is going to constitute the game changer when Atiku lays his hand on the certificate or diploma. Today, Thursday, September 28, 2023. Now, as I said earlier on, this same certificate, the certificate that Tinubu presented at the INEC, even the University of Chicago say they don't know anything about it. They cannot validate it. They cannot validate that it is from them. They can't swear an oath to validate it. Okay? So the lawyer of Chicago State University, Michael Hayes, had already made that clear. And if you have been following this matter in the media, you already know that that is the position of the school on this matter. Now, a line-by-line analysis of the certificate show that there is discrepancy on the certificate in terms of the font size that was used in the certificate. And the font size of the one submitted to INEC is different from the font size of the one presented by Chicago State University. And you know that if there is any difference between two of them, the one in INEC is the one that is likely to be forged. If you compare the one that was obtained from the university by Nohoreba and the one at Chicago, the one that was in Abuja with the Independent National Electoral Commission. Also, the logo was different. The logo at the original from Chicago State University was different from the logo that was in the certificate presented by Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, a line-by-line analysis of the certificates of Chicago State University versus what Tinubu submitted to the INEC reveals these glaring differences or discrepancies. Now, First of all, another issue that should also be looked into is that both certificates are written in completely different font types, as I have said before. And it is also important to note that the certificate provided by Chicago State University in response to the subpoena is an exact reprint of the original certificate issued in 1979 to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, this means that any other certificate purporting to be the same one with even the slightest deviation in style, format, or content is likely to be fake. Now, the certificate submitted to the INEC has been identified to contain two grammatical errors in it. Now, that certificate says, this is what the certificate says in its content. It said that on the recommendation of the faculty of the College of Business and under the authority of the Board of Trustees of Chicago State University has conferred upon. That is what it contained. The one that is with Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, this has also been interpreted as literally meaningless and an incomplete statement. Now, what the original document, the one provided by Chicago State University to Enahoro Eba, which the university can vouch for that it came from them, that one said that on the recommendation of the Faculty of College of Business and under the authority of the Board of Trustees, Chicago State University has conferred upon. Okay? That is the authentic wordings of Chicago State University in the certificate that was the original one that was given to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the people of his state, those of his state in that faculty in that year of 1979. Now, that is the one that is grammatically correct statement that had a meaning to it. Now, the certificate submitted to INEC says, in testimony thereof, the undersigned officers of Chicago State University have affixed their signatures together with the seal of the university in witness thereof. This diploma is granted this 22nd day of June, AD 1979. It has also been interpreted as another meaningless and incorrect statement. Now, this is what it should say, or the correct statement that was written in the original one from the Chicago State University. Now, quote what this one contained, the original, the one that was issued by Chicago State University to Enahoro Eba, which was a direct replica, nothing removed from what was given to Tinubu and his set in 1979. He said, in testimony thereof, the undersigned officers of Chicago State University have affixed their signatures together with the seal of the university. In witness thereof, this diploma is granted this 27th day of June, AD 1979. Now, both documents also have clearly different logos, as I have earlier told you, on them. Now, which also reinforce what we said earlier on, that if there is any difference between what was obtained from Chicago State University by Enahoro Eba and what is with INEC, it means that the one with INEC is one that is likely to be fake. because the one with Inahoreba was obtained by subpoena through the court in America. And it was a direct reprint of what was issued in 1979. So that is part of the uh, problem that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is really facing. It is these discrepancies. And these discrepancies is where the challenge is for him. If Atiku could be able to convince the courts, the Supreme Court, to admit this and understand these discrepancies, it will be the game changer. It will be a game changer for Atiku Abubakar in terms of his quest to nullify the election of Bola Ahmed Tinubu based on alleged forgery of certificate. Now, having established all these differences, it is now the responsibility of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to prove that that certificate he has, which is submitted to INEC, emanated from Chicago State University. If he cannot prove it, then it is fake. Already, himself and his legal team have admitted that there are discrepancies with the original from Chicago State University. Now, whose fault is it that he presented the certificate that was not the real certificate? He said the problem in his certificate was the result of a mistake by an unnamed clerk. So that is where the issue is. Is it the clerk that is going to be blamed or what was already submitted? So the fact of the matter is that if Atiku Abubakar collect these documents and he was able to convince the courts, and the court should be able to be convinced, because when you see the two certificates, especially the ones that I have seen as displayed by David Hundin, the one that I have seen that was displayed by Atiku Abubakar legal team and all the rest, you see that the two certificates are poles apart. You don't need to have the mind or the brain of Albert Einstein to know that these two certificates are not the same and cannot be the same and could not have emanated from the same institution, awarded to the same person. You just by mere looking at them, you take note of all these differences. Even the dates on the certificates, they're also different. Because if you look at from the certificates that was submitted to the INEC, whereas the original degree was awarded on June 27, 1979, the certificate Tinubu submitted to INEC state that the degree was awarded on June 22nd, 1979. So these are some of the challenges that Tinubu need to sort out and convince the Supreme Court if Atiku succeeds in getting this certified result of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and and the Supreme Court agreed to accept it. So, from all indication, it is obvious that this is what is likely to be obtained from Chicago on Thursday this evening. The certificate that Atiku is going to get is not going to be any different from the certificate that Nahoreba already gotten from Chicago State University through a different subpoena. So it is going to be the same thing. It's not going to be any different. It's not going to be any different. That's it. Not going to be any. And if it is the same thing, then it is now left for Tinubu to convince the courts how he obtained his own, and his own is original, or his own is not forged. And already we know the consequences of a forged certificate. Section 137, 1J of the 1999 Constitution made it clear that if you submit a fake document to the Independent National Electoral Commission, you are automatically disqualified. That was exactly the same thing that happened to governorship candidates of the APC in Bayelsa State, who won an election and was sacked by the Supreme Court because of forged certificate. This time, not even because of the governorship candidate, because of the deputy governorship candidate. As a result, their election was nullified, and the Supreme Court ruled that it was as if they didn't participate in the election, and all their votes was seen as a wasted vote, and the PDP that came second was automatically elevated to occupy the mandate. Now, what are the implications of nullification of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's presidency? If the Supreme Court, in its wisdom, agrees with Atiku Abubakar that indeed the certificate that Bola Ahmed Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission is forged, and invokes Section 137, 1J of the 1999 Constitution and nullify Tinubu's election, what are the options left for the Supreme Court to do? What are the options left for them? One, it is now to look at between Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, which of them won the election, since Tinubu had been set aside and deemed not to have participated in the election. Atiku Abubakar, in the INEC tabulation of results, got about 6.9 million votes. But he did not get one of the most important ingredients for declaration for the office of president. He did not get 25% of the vote cast in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. In fact, that is one of the grounds that Atiku is seeking the nullification of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you go and look at the prayers, the petition of Atiku Abubakar, he said that Tinubu's election should not stand because he did not get 25% in Abuja, among other things, and himself didn't get it. So there's no way he could benefit from what he already knows is not possible. That's, you can't be president unless you get 25%. Now, forget about what the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal ruled, but the truth of the matter remains that from the ruling of the Supreme Court, right from 2008, is that you must get 25% in Abuja. before you can be declared president of Nigeria. Although INEC overlooked that and declared Tinubu the president or the winner of the election, which is still under contention. And it's expected that the Supreme Court will once again look at that Section 134, subsection 2B of the 1999 Constitution, which demanded expressly, because that and the Supreme Court has ruled that it is conjunctive, it is compulsory. You must get 25% in Abuja before you are declared winner of a presidential election. Peter Obi is the only candidate that got to 5% in Abuja. In fact, he got over 60% of the vote cast in Abuja. So he met that constitutional threshold. And also, Peter Obi won more states because by the time Peter Obi made the Supreme Court to look at his vote in Rivers State and Benue again, because Peter Obi presented a very convincing evidence that he won Rivers State and Benue State. In the case of Rivers State, even independent organizations like the BBC and the Premium Times, they have done tabulation of result of the Rivers State and can verify that Peter Obi won that state. And Peter Obi, in his final submission to the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, showed evidence on how he won Rivers and Benue State. And if you take that into account, you find out that Peter Obi won more states than any other presidential candidate in the election. Okay? And also Peter Obi has presented to the Supreme Court that he won the presidential election with 8.7 million votes. So he stands a chance of being expressly declared the winner of the election if Tinubu's election is nullified as a result of the allegation of forgery that was brought against him by Atiku Abubakar. But if for any reason the Supreme Court did not declare Peter Obi the winner of the election, the only other option left will not be a declaration of Atiku as the winner of the election. It will be for a rerun between Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi of the Labour Party. That's the way I see it. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you will be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, God will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.